problem is the ingredients, not the pudding. I'm sorry, but shoving an iPad into your kid's face for hours on end while Coco Melon is screeching on the damn thing is not parenting. Okay, calm down, calm down. I get it. I'm a childless person. I'm somebody who doesn't plan on having kids. Not now, not later, not ever. I don't want to bring anything into the world that I am not responsible enough to take care of. It's not that I'm a bad person. It's just that kids aren't in my life plans. It would come as no surprise as to why teachers are growing more and more concerned with the future of Gen Alpha kids. They can't read, they can't show basic human respect, they gotta film everything of their peers and further bully them. The kids are not alright. The kids are going down a very scary path of desensitization, of being fully capable of learning things, but incapable because the second they came out of the womb, it was just like, iPad, iPad, you were too tough to deal with, here's an iPad. And I know that may sound a little bit judgmental to some people who are watching this who have kids and let them have iPad time, but I'm not talking about y'all. I am talking about the people who are at restaurants just don't want to deal with their child whatsoever. The child is crying, the child needs the parent's attention. No, too hard basket, here's the iPad, now shut the up, will you? And it's brought into question, do people even really want to be parents anymore? I mean, if Benny Boy can't even read at the age of 9 with complete full learning capabilities, then y'all are kind of doomed. Who's gonna be wiping your butt? Because I don't think Benny would. Because Benny would probably still be in class.
I need everybody else in my generation to promise that we are not gonna raise iPad children, please. I just saw a TikTok from some millennial and she was like, here's a message to Gen Z. You might make fun of us, but watch out. We're raising the next generation and they're gonna eat you up. Your kids can't read, okay? You're raising Gen Alpha. They're bizarre and terribly behaved. Y'all bred iPad children.
That we see stories everywhere of Gen Alpha kids misbehaving and receiving no consequences for it. Am I saying go ahead and smack your child across the face? Absolutely not. But when a child is showing the need for your attention, the need for your time, and instead it's just too hard, it's too hard, iPad, that's where it becomes a problem because their attention span lowers so much so to the point that they genuinely don't know how to handle anything. They're not even giving themselves enough time to just sit down and think about, hey, is this the right thing that I'm doing? Hey, is this the wrong thing I'm doing? Because I can tell you by the age of 10, I knew right from wrong. I wasn't going up to kids. Many of my viewers can attest to this too. We weren't going up to children, hitting them, spitting on them because you're upset, because you don't know how to regulate your emotions, because as soon as you came out of the womb, you were staring at an iPad screen for hours on end with absolutely zero parental attention. And that is an issue. We're going down a really strange path at the moment, and I think these kids need a lot of love and support. The parents are the problem here. It's not the children.
You have been shoving media and screens in these kids' faces since birth. They probably have no imagination because their brain hasn't actually been forced to come up with any original thought. Gen Z, please, when we are older, don't give your kids iPads at the dinner table. If I'm older and I have my kids and I bring them to a restaurant and I see fellow parents at the table next to me and their kids have iPads at a restaurant in public, what? I'm gonna scream. Cause what the—
No, but to add on to what he's saying, it's insane because it was only just a couple of weeks ago my partner and I were out at dinner. We're in this little restaurant and there's barely any kids in there, right? And the kids that are in there are probably like 12, 13, 14 at most. Giozabite, I hear screeching, squealing. These kids were smacking the menus, and the menus were hard, by the way. The menus were not just your regular old laminated paper. These were hard menus that they were just bashing on the table because their parents took the iPads away from them. I was sitting one table over from these people, by the way. That's why I was like, no freaking way. Y'all's food just came out and you can't handle handle a couple of minutes without the iPad, and these kids would have had to be 10 at most. Do you know how scary that is? These kids wouldn't eat their meals until their parents gave them the devices back. I'm 22 and I'm still not allowed, even when I go to my parents' house for dinner, to look at my phone. No attention directly is put on the child. It's just like, here, have it back. I don't know about y'all, but that is not parenting. That is fucking lazy.
What the hell is that? Can you not make your child behave for more than 5 seconds that they can live without an iPad for dinner? Can you not give your child enough attention and like actually converse with them? And like,
sorry, I keep pausing this, but this is why the emotions with these kids aren't being regulated at the moment, because they don't know what the they're feeling. Everything they feel to them is so massive to them. Whereas when we were kids, yeah, it was like that, but it wasn't on such an exacerbated scale where the world felt like it was ending. You were being literally stabbed in the back, or because mum took the iPad away for 5 minutes so that you could eat your food.
You have to just give them an iPad to make them shut up. Why are they even there then? What are you doing? What is your parenting style? People are gonna come at me and be like, oh, you're 21. What do you know about being a parent? I don't know. I look at kids and they're like terribly behaved. I saw a TikTok of a girl talking about how she was a summer camp for a bunch of like Gen Alpha kids, and they were like the most poorly behaved kids she's ever seen in their entire lives. We have to right a wrong, guys. We have to make our kids normal, please.
I get shamed quite frequently whenever I do videos like this. Parent shaming, when that is not what is happening here whatsoever. The general population is seeing the mass decline within kids having imaginations, with kids respecting people, with kids just being kids. It's all about social media now. It's all about shoving an iPad in their faces because they're too hard to deal with. Well, how do you think you got there in the first place? They never even had a chance anyways. They were never given one. And that is what annoys me so much. It's one of the most important things to sit down with your kid and ask them questions, to learn about them, to sit there and just listen to them. I don't care if you're busy. I don't care if your day was really hard. I don't care if you haven't had your coffee yet, mate. You had the conscious decision to have a child, and now people are having to deal with the consequences of these kids not being heard, with these kids just not having that kind of parental attention that we once did. I know it's really easy to use an iPad as a babysitter, but for hours and hours and hours on end, I mean, when I was a kid, I wasn't even allowed to play video games for more than a couple of hours at a time, let alone a couple of hours a day. But these kids are on morning till night. And then sometimes these kids don't even get the normal amount of sleep because they're just on the devices constantly, non-stop, with so much bullshit at their fingertips.
I need to ask millennials, why are your kids so awful? And more importantly, why do you think it's so funny? Your kids cannot read. They cannot write. They are ill-mannered. And they're monsters. I was working my medical receptionist job the other day, and this woman walks in. You can tell she's a millennial. She's like 34. She has a yoga mat in one hand and her 4-year-old in the other. Her Satan spawn walked up to the counter, and I was like, hi. And there's a bunch of business cards just stacked up on the counter. You know, it's a medical office. And the kid knocks them all over and starts mixing up all the different business cards on the floor of the office. I look over at her mother, thinking she's gonna see this and be like, oh no, you can't do that. No, she looks up from her phone, looks at her daughter, and starts hysterically laughing and says, isn't she so cute?
I'm sorry, you're different. Had it been me, you're different, but had it been me, if that kid is not getting a lesson in respect, then a stranger is going to have to do that for them, which is probably one of the most embarrassing things to happen in front of a parent. When they failed their child so much so that they disrespect strangers' property. Like, it's going too far at this point. And I know that this video is going to be filled with hate comments about me parent shaming, about me doing this, about me doing that. In fact, I think I'm doing quite the opposite. I think I'm just reminding people to just sit there and listen. Actually, instead of that, y'all need to watch Leo. Y'all need to watch Leo. So I watched that and I bawled my eyes out because it's so true. You just gotta sit there, listen to your kids, and treat them like the human beings that they are.
Ma'am, I have to clean this later. If that were my kid, I would have yelled at it and then cleaned up the mess it made and then made it apologize to the receptionist.
I mean, I have quite mixed feelings on yelling. If anything, in that case, the parents should have explained why that's wrong to do to strangers' property. I mean, would you like some random to come into your bedroom and just start messing with shit? No. And then go ahead and apologize. Because it is not okay to just let your, as she said, Satan spawn run so freely around the world doing whatever they want. Because then as they grow older, they're not going to really understand consent. They're not really going to understand that's not a good thing to do. And that is, you're raising not the greatest people. And that is an issue. Holy shit, I didn't even think about that until now.
I know millennials with children are going to hate this because they're the most self-righteous people on the planet, but maybe you should be less concerned about me and more concerned about the fact that your kid cannot read. When I was in 2nd grade, I was getting assigned by my teachers at least 100 to 150 page books, me and my classmates. Your kid cannot read basic words or spell basic words, and you're cool with that. That is crazy to me. If you're not going to teach them how to read, that's fine. You know what? Not my circus, not my monkeys. But at least please teach them some manners. And honestly, millennials, please gain some yourselves, because as someone who has had a lot of jobs in her day, serving you people is genuinely one of the most insufferable things I've ever had to.
And like, that just makes me think about too. So my very first job was a fry cook at a fish and chip shop. Now, I had a kid walked behind the counter and then saw me fry cooking and then came and like stolen some chips or some chicken tenders or something like that. You're getting told off. Because, I mean, how are these kids supposed to know consequences if they're not told what they're doing is wrong? If they're not told what they're doing is incorrect behavior? I need y'all to watch this, okay? Parents are even going as far as to get upset with the teachers because they're not disciplining their children. But if the teachers discipline their children, it's another issue too. Like, what mind are we living in at the moment?
I got a student, whenever the student has to work, he does not like doing it, and he gets frustrated, and then he gets mad, and then he starts to lash out, and I can't work with him past that point because he does not read on grade level, and I can't give him grade level work because he's so far on the grade level. If you are a parent, you have a child in a public school or in a school in general, you have to supplement their education by working with them at home. Please, we are in a crisis mode in American schools, and if you don't want your child to grow up to be whatever, work with your child now. Invest in your child now.
I'm sorry, but I am genuinely worried for these kids. It is so insane that we've never seen such a rapid decline in respect, in reading, in writing, in general learning with kids before. And it just makes me sick. So with all of that being said, everybody, I'm sorry if this was a long one. I just have a really passionate grasp on this because not only have I been around children that are just little monsters in disguise, but it's just not fair for everybody else to be picking up the slack when the parents should be making sure that their kids aren't acting that way in the first place. It's not funny, it's not cute, nobody finds it adorable that your kid is a menace to society. So with all of that being said, everybody, if you have any stories that you would like to relay to me, you would like me to read, let me know down the comment section below because, babe, I have too many to count. This video would have taken too much of your time. Thank you for your time today, everybody. I really appreciate it so much. Take care of yourselves and most of all, love your fucking selves.